rundown of my build and how I've been using it. This is the same build that I had from Nioh 1. I called it the Onimusha Musashi build, and it's based on Musashi, so you use the single sword and you use the dual swords. So yeah, if you're into the swords and the samurai vibes, then yeah, this is for you. There's some OP ninjutsu builds out there. They're fun, but they use a lot of cheese, and so this one's not super cheesy. So if you're looking for something that's real cheese and just sort of walk through the game, this isn't it. This is more sort of fun and stylish. But yeah, let's check it out. So, not to trash the ninjutsu builds though, because I think they're sick. You know what I mean? Alright, go to the equipment. Right, I'm using the how you say this? Tokugemaru. Yeah man, I think this is the best sword that I've come across so far. It's cool because it's got this imbue corruption, right? This adds key damage. When it's maxed out, adds mad key damage to the enemy, and you get this increased attack, enemy killed. So if if you're facing a horde of like 10, you kill 5, your attack's gonna be buffed up to the top. Active skill key damage, that's dope. Strong attack consumption. So when you're doing this build uses a lot of high stance, heavy attack, and uses like windstorm and stuff like that. So that's nice. You want the key reduction, high attack damage, strong attack key consumption. So this sword really is built around, it's going to be good for fighting humans because you'll be able to break their guard easily with all of that high attack, and your key usage is super low. With the mid, again, look, key consumption, strong attack break, because I use the dual swords a lot against human enemies, active skill key damage, and then again like another damage bonus. What's that? Enemies defeated, A-, so that's a dope stat to have. So yeah, again, like this is real early game build, so if you're new to the game, basically that's the idea here. And a lot of these things, like a lot of these stats, if you're unfamiliar, these are the kind of things you want, sort of like skill damage, attack damage, key consumption, especially in the early game. There's nothing much going on here. That damage bonus is cool, but yeah, the hand cannon. At the same time, you want to make sure you've got a decent bow or a decent rifle. The hand cannon's cool once you get it, but a lot of the time you might be walking to a room with a bunch of enemies, and if you do a headshot with an arrow, you can one-shot a whole bunch of them. Do you hear me? Before anyone even realizes. You don't want to be rushing in and getting ganked. This game's important to pick enemies and pull them apart from the group and whatnot. With the armor, essentially I'm going for heavy armor, right? Because heavy armor gives you more armor on your attacks, and obviously means you take less damage. But as you can see, the equipment weight at the top, the green, 67%. So really you want to be under 70% when possible. This gives you extra movement, because this whole build you need to have a bit of movement. I mean, you can go in the orange in a tight situation if you're forced to, but really you want to be in the green. So prioritize weight on your chest and leg pieces, so that you can see 7.8, 10. But then the wrists, the shoes are light. Even the helmet's light. If you got extra space, you can get a heavier helmet, but yeah, prioritize chest, bottoms. I haven't found any good sets so far. I'm in the second region, you know, so I know later on there'll be some good sets. When I'm working towards trying to get some Master Swordsman's robes, but they're not really early game, so they're not appropriate for this tutorial. And then yeah, I got the DLC, so if you got the pre-order or whatever, you can use this Demon Horde. This has got some OP stats on it, like that life drain. Again, look, defense bonus and attack, all of that stuff is off the chain, so cool. But for now, I'm just using the heaviest stuff I can find, as long as it keeps me in the green. With your accessories here, let's see. So look, again, like stuff like elemental damage taken, that's OP. Like you can see it's in purple, that's super OP. So a lot of the bosses, they're going to be doing elemental damage. So by end game, I aim to have probably 100% elemental damage taken, and you'll see a lot of the attacks do nothing. This anima charge, anima's new to Nioh 2, but we'll go into it later, but it's super useful. So any stats and stuff you can get that give you anima charge, amrita charge, anything like that's cool. And yeah, I've spec'd heavily into Onmyo, so that magic power is good for me. And again, look, key plus, I love that. And then Kodama sensor, that's just there so that, I like the Kodamas, they're cool bros. Again, if you're new to the game, you're not familiar with shortcuts, make sure you're sorting out your shortcuts and setting them, because they make a big difference. If you need to adjust how many shortcuts you have, go to your system, go to menu, and here you can decide if you want free, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 2 or 4 sets. I'm not going to change mine because I don't want to mess up my stuff, but yeah, you can go change between 2, 3 and 4 sets here. Alright, cool. Now into the next part. Where are we going? For the Guardian Spirit, I went with Mikami because he's got some crazy stats on it. You get Anima bonus, so that's cool because Anima lets you do your Yokai shift abilities, like when you press R2 triangle, R2 square. That's the gauge. So anything you see that helps that build faster, you want that. Key consumption again. Final blow damage is super important to this build because a lot of the time we're going to be breaking key and then just trying to go for the final blow or the grapple. Fire resistance is meh, but this Yokai ability damage, ooh, plus 15%, that's OP. If you wanted, you could go with Masaru. Masaru's got some cool stats as well, but I've already got all the requirements for this. So yeah, I decided to stick with this for now. I've only got access to 4, so anyway, Mikami seems OP though. Right, for the skills, let's go. Main weapon for me is the sword because I enjoy it, single sword. This move here, it is super important. Follows with a high quick attack, so that I'm going to demonstrate it quickly because it's super important. So you do the high attack and you press triangle and you get to pull off a crazy combo. And here the dual swords, you can get the same ability. You do this. It's important to keep pulse at the end, but basically if you hit almost any human enemy with that combo twice, their key should break and they should be open for a grapple or knockdown and final blow. So that's a super important. You probably get that first. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure I bought that before I bought anything else. What else we got here? Yeah, of course, grapple damage, that's good. Melee damage, good. Leaf Glide for me is trash, but I got it so that I could get Haze and Haze 2. This is one of the best counters in the game with the single sword. So when you're blocking in mid stance, you press square. I'll demonstrate it later when we got some enemies around, but that shit is OP. Let's see what else is OP that you really should get. Final blow damage, meh. The kick is meh. Let's see. Swift step is alright. Shadow strike is good. Anything that boosts your damage from behind or damage in certain scenarios is good. I'm not too fond of damage when you're at max health because, it's not so often you're at max health. But yeah, damage from behind, that's OP. Sword key I never was a fan of, but you get this sword of celebrity with it this time, which is alright. I mean, it's not the best thing in the world, but I've used it a few times and it's pretty good. Yeah, quick draw. And this maximum key increases. Alright, when you have sword equipped as a main weapon, that's a no-brainer. If you're not familiar with the EI. Dual sword has the same move, sign of the cross. So it doesn't matter which one you're using, you can pull off the same attack. Cool, with the dual swords, again, here, Cherry Blossom. Super OP, that's the triangle at the end of the high combo. Windstorm as well is one of my favorite attacks. This is effective against basically everything. Bosses, humans, yokais, it's really good. You get to hold block, hit triangle for the attack, let go for the key post, and hold block again. If you do that, it's like a win button. Do you hear me? That's super useful. It's been nerfed since, back in the day you could like 1 or 2 shot bosses with that. It's been nerfed a bit, but it's still, especially if you get Windstorm 2, it's super effective and useful for the dual swords. Water sword is good for when you're fighting against bosses. But yeah, a lot of the time, like to really make that effective, the enemy has to be stationary, and it's not so many times that happens. So I'll equip it as and when I need it, if that makes sense. Quick draw, more melee damage, etc, etc. With this Shiflin, now this is new to Nioh 2. This it's like living weapon from the first game, but the Yokai shift. There's some crazy stats in here that I think are going to be OP. So most of them are focused around, reduces the depletion of the Yokai shift gauge when taking damage. There's a whole bunch of OP stats in here that are based around reducing the depletion of the gauge. I think you want to prioritize those for sure. Yeah, again, look, reduces depletion. This is cool, but the main reason I unlocked it was to unlock this. I took this to max level already. Look, reduces penalty for key recovery speed while in the dark realm. Dark realm is when you walk through the barrier and all of a sudden everything goes dark and your key recovery is trash and everything's fucked up. So yeah, you want that maxed out. Definitely maxed out. Again, look, extends duration of yokai shift. Extends duration. Let's see what else we got. Reduces depletion. That's what I'm saying. All of here, I'm not really focused on much apart from things that are gonna stop the depletion. What are these? Well, man, I'm not sure why I copped those, but anyway, they're there. All right, let's see. Yeah, so again, that skill tree is done. But yeah, again, for early game, you just want to be focusing on things that are stopping depletion, or at least that's what I've been doing. With the samurai skill tree, you need to prioritize these: running water, and running water. They all mean that instead of having to stand there like this, which leaves you super vulnerable for your key post, you can do a dodge instead and still get the key post. So you want that for all stances. I mean, it doesn't matter what your build is, whatever weapon you're using, you want that. Super useful. What else have we got here? Increases defense when you perform purification. See, that's cool because you're going to purify just while you're fighting. That's when you get rid of a yokai little puddle thing by doing the key post. So yeah, if you pop that, again, look, defense up. Any little stats like that are good. Increases your attack when you perform purification. And there's another one like that down here, increases your ki. So anytime I do a purification, I'm going to get a ki buff, an attack buff, and a defense buff. So that's OP, do you hear me? Looks like I went ham over here. What have we got here? Flux is dope. You want flux. There's no reason why you don't want flux. Yeah, I don't even need to explain it. You can look at it there. It says, it's all about changing key and changing stances, but that's a big part of this build. Learning how to key post, learning how to change stances on the fly to mix your combos up and stuff like that. You definitely want this. Without that, half of the other shit doesn't work. So yeah, purify yokai realm. Final blow. Grapple. So look, I didn't even realize these were skills because I'm so used to using them, but yeah. I'm sure some of them, they come for free probably, but you want to unlock as many of these as possible because that whole tree is super important. It's like basically core gameplay mechanics in there. I don't like flash attack, so I'm happy they put it on its own over here, so you don't need to unlock it to get anything else, because yeah, I don't like that at all. I mean, you might like it, but I don't like that at all. I find it just makes me vulnerable. And I'll work towards that. Cool. Ninjutsu's OP in this game, super OP. So if you want to add some ninjutsu to your build, you go for shuriken, kunai, shuriken shooter, where is it? You want storm kunai and thrown blade technique. So you want all of that. Just basically look, get your damage up, get your speed throwing up, and get all the different types of kunai. I'm working towards that at the minute. Like, it's an early game build, so I don't even have access to that stuff yet, but that's something I'm working towards slowly. But I won't be doing that before I get quick change. Cause I like quick change. It's part of my play. It just means if you get killed, you can see the video there, you'll resurrect on the spot. I think you get like 30% of your health or something. All of your buffs are gone though, so you have to rebuff, heal up and that, but it's good, it's useful. This is cool, super cool as fuck. I saw it on some Let's Plays and I was like, yeah, I want that. And play the video again. So you summon these fireballs, they do key damage and normal damage, and they're cool, man. I found them useful. These two I haven't experimented with, but so as that goes. Yeah, lastly, the Onmyo magic. Now, this is super important to the build as far as, I'm concerned. You can go through the ninjutsu route rather if you want, but I'm focusing on having magic as the main and then ninjutsu, slightly behind. So purification talisman is dope. That adds purity to your weapon. That destroys yokai. So if you're going up against a boss or a giant yokai or something, you want to put on one of those. And Where's the barrier? Yeah, you want to work towards this barrier. So you want a purification talisman and a barrier talisman. Sloth I work towards as well. So yeah, sloth, barrier, purification, they work as a set for me at the minute. So I've got them here. So here's the barrier. Bang. Key recovery all the way up. You see how quick it fills up. Cool. Purification for the sword, and then sloth for the bad guys. Slow everything down. Crazy. Alright, what else have we got? Yeah, as you can see, that's the main thing I've been working towards. So I got Devigorate because I'm hoping to get weakness at some point. I want to unlock weakness talisman. That's OP. You hit the bosses with that and their armor goes way down. You do massive damage. Devigorate's cool. I'm not using it at the minute, but basically it drops the attack power of enemies. And then yeah, Carnage is something that I want to work towards. Carnage was OP in the old game. Lowers defense but adds damage. I'm pretty sure there's some other things here I'm working towards, but we'll see when we get there. Cool. The skills obviously it's the same shit. Heaven's Flash, EI, Sword Key. Haze, EI, Sword Key. Morning Moon, that's super, remember I was saying super basic but super important. EI, Sword Key. Double Sword's the same. Cherry Blossoms, Sign of the Cross, Windstorm. You always want something that you can do while you're guarding, because there's a lot of times where you need to be guarding, and if you can just pull out a big attack like Windstorm, that was called. Yeah, if you can pull out something like Windstorm from a guarding stance, that's pretty OP. When you're going through your titles, I'm always plugging other realm resistance. I forget what all the stats here, but stuff like that. Other realm resistance, key up, key recovery up, defense against yokai up, attack up, stuff like that. Here I'm doing ninjutsu power, Onmyo power, etc, etc. You know, things like equipment drop rate, gold. I don't really care about that. I mean, even that I don't care. I want stuff that's going to boost either my damage or my defense or my key. That's what I'm prioritizing. Alright, cool. Alright, for the bulk of it. Now the stats. I would say I'm higher than, I'm kind of, you know, more like a mid-game level now, but you can run this from early game. So I would have said heart is the main. I would have said, I think heart, you want to get it to around 21. Like I think it started, the rewards started to drop off around 21. So when you're buffing, just keep an eye, because it tells you how much, you know, how much each stat's going to increase by. So heart's great because it does life, key recovery speed, and your attack damage. So it's like an all-round stat, and it scales with your single sword. So you know, that's the primary weapon, so that's super powerful. So yeah, get your heart up high. Stamina, you can get it to I think 9. First checkpoint I would say 9, then 12, then 15. I don't know if I'll even put any more in stamina. I'm gonna leave it here for now. I might not even need any more. Main reason that is, you can see, look, current encumbrance 67.2%, right? And it's just to keep it in the green, give you the extra movement, extra key. Courage, you know, I'm not interested in that right now. I'm probably bring it up to 9, because I think I'll try and get every stat to 9 at some point. Yeah, Constitution's only at 10 because I think it helped me unlock some abilities, and I think for the Guardian Spirit, and maybe it was just to unlock like armor or something like that. But yeah, Constitution, you don't need it. If you want to feel a bit more tanky, you can go there. Strength and skill are at 9. That was armor requirement. So skill was a requirement for light armor, strength was a requirement for heavy armor. So yeah, I just put them both on 9. I will be buffing up skill. Obviously skill scales with the dual swords. So single sword is the main, that's why I focus on heart. But once heart's super high, you know, or calm, I'm gonna start plugging skill. I mean, I'll probably get it up to maybe 15 and then start going back into heart, because right now skill is giving me a better increase from the diminishing returns. Always keep an eye on what you're actually getting from your stat purchases, because you get diminishing returns the higher level you get. Dexterity, obviously mine's only at 6 now, just because I've only got one ninjutsu in there. And like I said, the main thing I'm going to be taking from dexterity is the kunais and the resurrection scroll. So I don't need it urgently like that, but magic is so crucial to the build. You know, that's why I'm prioritizing magic. So I got my heart first, plug some stamina, then I dumped in magic. Now I'll probably raise magic up higher than this, and then jump onto dex and try and get dex up. You with me? So yeah, heart and stamina early game, skill at some point, and you definitely want magic. The main reason you need magic is because the build works around using buffs and debuffs when you're fighting bosses and stuff like that, to make it more manageable and to keep yourself in a good way. So yeah, alright, let's break it down. There's a few enemies on this mission here, so I'm just going to do a quick run through, and I'll try my best to use most of the strats I explained. I'll try my best to use them and break down what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Here's a good example. So look, picking enemies off. So straight away, you're only facing one. Again, high stance, triple with that triangle at the end. He didn't even make it to the stun. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's that skill I said. I'll try and do it with a double sword so you can see what it looks like from that stance. Now I want to show you this trick. If with the single sword in the low stance, you should be able to do this. So that's low stance, spamming square. Just spamming square. It looks cool as fuck, easy as fuck, and it makes mincemeat out of these little cheap enemies. I mean, if an enemy can block, you know, it's no good, but against these guys it's good. And also, once we're more OP and we're fighting against yokais, even yokai bosses, I mean, this is gonna wreck, because yokais can't block. You with me? So there's no end to the combo. It's an infinite combo. Super OP. You can switch to high stance at the end. Crazy. It's a super cool technique. Anyway, let's try and use some high stance with the swords to show how it crushes humans. Wreck. Alright, let's try this guy. He might be a bit tougher. But again, look, you can just armor through attacks. With the heavy armor, like I described in the build, if you got the heavy armor, you can just armor through attacks. You got so much poise. Even if they block, you're going to be wrecking their stamina. And yeah, a lot of the time you'll find that, you know, enemies will be trying to block you and they just won't be able to handle it. Now, enemies like this, it's important to respect their stance. He's so low on the ground, a lot of mid attacks or high attacks will whiff. So always good to go with something low. Alright, now I think there's one guy over here, there's Enki. Something I didn't explain earlier in the build. Yatsu no Kami Soul Core. This is the soul, it doesn't even let you show it, but yeah, that's the soul core I'm rolling with. What I'd like to do, anyway, I think at the end of the tutorial, if you don't have access to this yet, this Yatsu no Kami, because you only get this after completing the first region. If you have this, use this. This is OP, like super OP. If you don't have this, at the end of the tutorial, I'm going to show you a good thing to use. But I'm pretty sure it's called Enki. And it's the first one you get in the game. If you don't have access to this Yatsu no Kami, then use the Enki one. You jump in the air and throw a staff. That's really good, gets you out of dodge, and that's super early game, you know, and useful. It's super useful once you start using it. To use those abilities, you have to press either R2 and square or R2 and triangle, depending on how you've got it equipped. Alright, so I'll use it on this guy. R2 and triangle. It hits twice. So if the first go round whiffs, you're good to go. Soul counter, spirit counter, I'm not sure what you call it, but that was R2 and circle I used at the end. When the dude glowed red and did that big attack, I hit him with R2 and circle. I mean, if I hadn't have done that, I may even have died, and if I wouldn't have died, I probably would have had maybe 1 HP left or something. So again, you can see me constantly with the constantly getting the key pulses. It's super important because you don't want to be running out of stamina out here. So yeah, what do? We hit the boss with we hit that Enki with the rage counter. Oh yeah, the counter. Make sure you learn how to do this. R2 and circle. I mean, different enemies have different timings, so in the beginning it's easy to miss, you know, when you're just getting used to an enemy. But basically, as soon as you see them flash red, you want to hit that, and with any luck you should get a counter. Now, you see that you got a shadow here. I saved this for the tutorial. I don't know what's in there, and I'm hoping I don't get wrecked, because that would be super embarrassing. But yeah, here you go, look. I'm going to see the items on the left. I'm just going to cycle through. So here you've got antidotes on the right, paralysis stuff on the left, Kekai at the bottom. All of my stuff have potion at top, Kekai at the bottom, because it's confusing enough having this many shortcuts. So I like to know that if I press up, I'm going to heal, and if I press down, I'm going to get ki. So look, just to show you, you know, anytime you get poisoned, bang. Anytime you get paralyzed, this, because those are the main debuffs that I come across, you know, that you can easily heal. This purple item here is a jackfruit. Where is it? Lantern plant fruit. This rebuilds your anima gauge, and anima is just like, it's like your devil trigger. It's super useful. You with me? So that's filled up. As soon as we put up on this guy, I'm gonna hit him with the technique. On the left, I've got my single ninjutsu skill, the flaming heron feathers. I'll try and use it on this guy as well so you can see it. It's just like fireballs. It's super OP, real anime shit. And then you've seen this as already, Kekai, purification, sloth. So if anything, I'll try my best to hit off as many of these as I can so you can see a good example. But yeah, let's go. Yeah, I mistimed it there. I got a trade, because you can get trades if you get it all right but not quite on point. They'll give you a trade instead. See, this guy armored straight through that shit. There's beast mode on it. Hopefully he doesn't die, because I want to be able to show the purification and the sloth. All right, cool. So someone's giving you trouble, hit him with the sloth. Now we're purified. I think I'll try and do some windstorm. There we go. So you can see I'm blocking the whole time, and still I'm able to pull off that crazy damage, crazy ki damage. So look, that was my first time bumping into one of those enemies in game, and I'm sure he was meant to be a bigger threat than that, but he got wrecked. And that's cause hitting with the Yatsu no Kami. I mean, you're cool with Enki as well. Enki's super effective. It's not as OP as this, but it's still cool. Here with the fire magic. And then barrier talisman, sloth, all day. Alright, man. I think that's pretty much it. Broke down the build, did a quick example. And like I said, this is the early game. Onimusha Musashi Part 2. And yeah. When I get to mid game, I'll do an update, and then when I get to end game, I'll do another update, and then we'll take it from there. But yeah, man. All right, peace. Let's roll.